Good day, my name is Jeremy Albino, and for today we are going to discuss Republic Act 544, or also known as Civil Engineering Law. March 31, 2011, Senate Bill Number 2770, an act professionalizing the practice of civil engineering in the Philippines, repealing for the purpose Republic Act 544 as amended and for other purposes. The bill sought to achieve the following, and I will explain each of the objectives. Number 1. RA 544 is a good instrument to guide the civil engineers to be instigators of nation building by development. The professional should balance human welfare and sustainability in the environment. Number 2. It is one of the goals that civil engineering in the Philippines can work at par with the foreign professionals. With the RA 544, civil engineering are confident that their work and craftsmanship are also within the international standards, and they can practice their profession anywhere in the world. Number 3. To continuously develop the level of competence of civil engineers through bullet number 1, peer recognition of specialization in civil engineering. Bullet number 2, continuing professional development. Number 3, strengthening the accredited professional organization of civil engineers. Number 4, with the Republic Act, the practice of foreign civil engineers have been some limitations and exemptions, requirements, and qualifications. Objective number 5, consultancy as a part of profession should also be enhanced and be standardized with international standards. Objective number 6, adversely affects the infrastructure of government to extent that work and payment to contracted parties on projects are suspended. By making consultancy services simple and clear transaction and processes for projects in the development of the country will be faster and more stable. And for the last objective, number 7, with the Republic Act, the accountability and obligation of contractors will be clear and easily understandable to have all the best interests in the parties.
I am Arvin Aginsay and I am going to discuss Article 2, which is the Board of Civil Engineering. The Board of Civil Engineering is a collegial body under the administrative supervision by the Commission. Selection of members. The said members are selected from the list submitted by PICE. The list considers 3 nominees for each position. Selection of the chairman. The President of the Philippines will appoint the chairman from among the members of the board. Terms of office. The board members shall hold office for a term of 3 years after their appointment. The first board members hold the office for the following terms: chairman for 3 years, 2 members for 2 years, and another 2 members for 1 year. Each member will be qualified by taking proper oath of office, and any member may be removed by the President of the Philippines after given opportunity to defend himself in the administrative investigation of the Commission. During investigation, the member is suspended under the power of the President and a temporary member is appointed. Grounds for terminations are neglect of duty, incompetence, malpractice, unprofessionalism, unethical, immorality, and dishonorable conduct. Vacancies in the board shall be filled only on the unexpired term. No member shall be appointed more than 2 consecutive terms. Powers and duties of the board. The board has the authority to 1. Administer oaths, issue, suspend, revoke, and reinstate certificates of registration and professional identification card for the practice. 2. Issue and revoke special temporary permits. 3. Investigate such violations for this act and regulations and issue subpoena and subpoena dues in connection with charges presented to the board. 4. Inspect educational institutions offering courses in civil engineering and civil engineering works, projects, or corporations. 5. Discharge such powers and duties as may affect ethical and technological standards of the profession. Promulgation of implementing rules and regulations. Rules and regulations are made known in different ways. 1. The latest editions of the Civil Engineering Code and Manual of Professional Practice prepared by the PICE. 2. The PICE shall prepare a code of ethics in the practice. 3. The board shall also adopt an official seal to to authenticate its official documents. Qualifications of board members. At the time of appointment, each board member shall be 1. A citizen and resident of the Philippines. 2. At least 30 years old and of good moral character. 3. A holder of bachelor's degree in civil engineering from a recognized institution. 4. A civil engineer duly qualified to practice in the Philippines. 5. Has practiced for a period not less than 10 years before his appointment. At least 5 years as a civil engineer of record, a civil engineer in charge of construction, and a civil engineer prime professional. 6. Not a member of faculty of any institution teaching civil engineering course. 7. An active member in good standing of the PICE. Compensation of the board. The board members shall receive compensation the sum compared to the amount received by similar members in other existing professional regulatory boards. The compensation is computed as 100 pesos each application for examination, 50 pesos for each certificate registration, and 15 pesos for each applicant examined. An appointment board member in the service of the government shall receive compensation as stated above, in addition to his salary in the government. And the last, the annual report. The board shall submit the commission a detailed report of its activities and proceedings during the period covered at the end of each fiscal year.
Examination, registration, and certification. The Civil Engineering Board examination is a requirement for registration of the practice. According to RA 1080 as approved on 15 June 1954, board examinations are considered as civil service examinations. So the following are the PRC requirements when applying for the examination, including the payment of 900 pesos. So number 1, NSO PSA birth certificate. Number 2, NSO PSA marriage contract for married female applicants only. Number 3, transcript of records with scanned picture and remarks for board examination purposes. Number 4, valid NBI clearance for both new and retakers. Number 5, 2 certificates of good moral character from any 2 of the following: barangay, church, school, or employer. Holding of examinations. The places of examinations are the following. It can be Manila, Baguio, Cagayan de Oro, Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, Lucena, Pagadian, Tacloban, Tugigaraw, and Zamboanga. Subjects of examinations. Resolution number 2, series of 1995, otherwise known as promulgation of the syllabi for the subjects in the civil engineering licensure examination, states that the board examinations shall provide a minimum of 500 questions for each subject, from which the Commission's computer will randomly select a few days prior to the examinations. Qualifications for examinations. Applicants for the examinations should satisfy the following qualifications: be at least 21-year-old, be a citizen of the Philippines, be of good reputation and moral character, be a holder of bachelor's degree in civil engineering from a recognized and legally constituted school, institute, college, or university. Oath of Civil Engineers. Successful candidates are required to take a professional oath before the board or commission authorized government officials prior to the issuance of the Certificate of Registrations. Certificate of Registration. The board and the commission issue individual certificates of registrations to successful examination candidates after taking the professional oath. The certificate is subject to payment prescribed by the commission. Membership in the PICE. All registered civil engineers are automatic members of the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers, or PICE, and shall comply with all the membership requirements therein. Professional Identification Card. Individual professional identification cards are issued to registered civil engineers bearing the following: name and picture of the registrant, registration number, date of issuance of card, expiry date of card, signature of the chairman of the commission, indication of certificate of registration, professional identification card, and professional tax receipt. The civil engineer shall required to indicate the following on the plans and documents he signs with his practice: certificate of registration, professional identification card, its date of issuance and duration of validity, professional tax receipt number, seal and use of seal. The design of the seal is as authorized by the board. The serial number of the certificate shall be included in the design of the seal. Refusal to issue certificate. The certificate shall not be issued to any person convicted of any criminal offense, guilty of immoral or dishonorable conduct, of unsound mind, a candidate who has not taken the oath of civil engineers. So, suspension and revocation of certificates and cancellations of professional identification cards. After due notice and hearing, the registrant has the opportunity to defend himself. The board can suspend or revoke certificate of registration due to malpractice, unprofessional, unethical, immoral, dishonorable conduct, or non-membership in good standing in PICE for 3 consecutive years. Reissue and replacement of certificates and professional identification cards. After a year, when the certificate is revoked, the registrant can apply for a new certificate of registration with the form prescribed for examination, and the board may exempt the applicant from the examination. Continuing Professional Development or CPD. PICE is responsible for developing a CPD program. Other organizations can also be CPD providers upon PICE and board accreditation. All registered civil engineers shall maintain program of professional development. Certificate of Specialization. PICE has the authority to issue, suspend, and revoke a certificate of specialization to a registered civil engineer who has demonstrated his advanced knowledge, experience, education, and training. Specialist Identification Card. All registered civil engineers with a certificate of specialization shall be issued individual specialist identification card from PICE, which is renewed in accordance to PICE requirements. Transitory provisions. Upon the effective of RA 544, registered status of each civil engineer shall retain. Certificate of registration shall have the same force and effect. Certificates of recognition for advanced studies, research, and specialized training in any specialized branch shall be replaced by equivalent certificates of specialization by the PICE. 4. Certificates of specialization previously issued shall have the same force and effect.
Republic Act No. 544 Article 4 covers miscellaneous provisions. You are watching CLO's contracts and ethics. The preparation of plans and supervision of construction by registered civil engineers covered in Section 2.7, which states that it shall be unlawful for any person to order or otherwise cause a construction, reconstruction, or alteration of any building or structure intended for public gathering or assembly such as theaters, cinematographs, stages, churches, or structures of like nature. Plans and design of structures must be approved as provided by law or ordinance of a municipality, city, or province where the said structure is to be constructed. Section 2.8 is all about individual and personal qualification The practice of civil engineering is a professional service admission to which must be determined upon individual personal qualifications. From the original section of RA 554, which was amended by RA 1582, Section 29, has been amended to cover all over engineering fields with civil engineering and architecture. A sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation may engage in providing consultancy services as defined in National Economic Development Authority or NETA guidelines. For engagement of consultant in the field of civil engineering, consultancy services in the field of civil engineering may further offer and engage in providing multidisciplinary consultancy services of either closely related or allied with civil engineering, but they are responsible for their own respective personal acts. Republic Act No. 8981, which is also known as PRC Modernization Act of 2000, was approved on 5th of December, year 2000, with President Joseph Ejercito Estrada as the signatory. An act modernizing the Professional Regulation Commission, repealing for the purpose Presidential Decree No. 223 entitled Creating the Professional Regulation Commission and prescribing these powers of function and for other purposes. Under Article 7J RA 8981, discusses the practice of profession of foreign national, stating that the Commission may, upon recommendation of the board concerned, authorize the issuance of certificate of registration or license or a special temporary permit to foreign personnel who decide to practice their professions in the country. Under reciprocity and other international agreements, consultants in foreign funded joint venture or foreign assisted projects of the government, employees of Philippine or foreign private firms or institutions pursuant to law. It also provided that agencies, organizations, or individuals, whether public or private, who secure the services of foreign professionals authorized by law to practice in the Philippines, for reasons after mentioned, shall be responsible for securing a special permit from the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC and the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE person 1 to PRC and dollar rules. The last section in Article 4 covers the roster of civil engineers, indicating that a roster showing the names and places of businesses of all registered civil engineers shall be periodically prepared by the Commission through the Board. Copies of this roster shall be placed on a file with the PICE and furnished to such government entities or agencies and municipal, city, and provincial authorities as may be deemed necessary and to the public upon interest.
Good day. I'm John Rizala. Today I'm going to discuss about the last article of the Enforcement of Act and the Penal Provisions, or the Republic Act Number 544, Article 5. According to Section 32, officers of the national, provincial, city, and municipal governments or any political subdivisions have the duty to enforce the provision of this act and to prosecute any persons violating the same or violating this law. According to Section 33, says that no civil engineering services are offered but only after obtaining proper certificate of registration from the board, or no person such as partnership or even in corporation shall practice or offer to practice civil engineering works, engage in and offer to engage in providing civil engineering consultancy services without obtaining their proper certificate of registration from the board. And in section 34, any person or entity where public or private Filipino or foreign people who shall entities compelled, coerce, require, or otherwise civil engineering work shall go under written service agreement, contract, employment contract, or he or she will violate this law. And in section 35, within 6 months or within from the effectivity of this act, all existing unproposed position in the local or national government offices, whether appointive, career, permanent, temporary, or contractual, and, and primary requiring the services of the civil engineering, whether or not using the that destination, shall be filled only by civil engineers who are uh, good members in good standing of PIC or the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers. Thank you.
Penal provisions. The following conditions are considered guilty of a misdemeanor and can be sentenced to the fine of not less than 100,000 pesos nor more than 1 million pesos, or suffer imprisonments of not less than 6 months nor more than 3 years, or vote at court's discretion. Number 1. Any person who practices and offers to practice civil engineering in the Philippines without any registration with this act. Number 2. Any person who presents or uses the certificate of registration or PRC ID of a registered civil engineer as his own. Number 3. Any person who presents false and forged evidence of any kind to the board. Number 4. Any person who impersonates any registered civil engineer of a different name. Number 5. Any person who attempts to use revoked or suspended certificate of registration or PRC ID. Number 6. Any person who advertises, uses, or assumes any title or description giving the impression that he is a civil engineer without valid certificate of registration. Number 7. Any head of a government agency or officer of a private firm or institution who fails to secure a special temporary permit from the board subject to approval of the commission prior to engaging the services of a foreign national to practice civil engineering under the employment or engagement by the agency, firm, or institution unless such foreign national has already been issued a special temporary permit. Number 8. Foreign national who engaged in the practice without special temporary permit. Number 9. A person who shall violate roster of civil engineers and its implementing rules and regulation. Foreign nationals guilty of any conditions above shall also be subjected to deportation. Repeal. All laws or parts in conflict with the provisions of the Act are repealed. No law shall limit the scope of practice of civil engineering nor exclude a civil engineer from practicing his own profession.